ever since they started off this stage 0-2, they've looked fantastic in their last 2 matches. So both teams are guaranteed winners bracket, but I know Vancouver got a little bit more itch in their gameplay.
That is so true, and I love the fact that we're kicking this all off on a vault hardpoint. Both teams are going to love to see this in the pool to kick off this series. So here we go, the final online qualifier matchup. Vancouver taking up against Minnesota. Let's get it on.
And let's get it, Mr. McLeod already starting off with a perfect start. 3-0. Spawns in control of Vancouver for that P2 side. And now 0-4 already creating extra layers over towards line. Just finessing with his life. Extra shoulder. I got Nasty watching over me. Doesn't get any better than this for Surge.
Absolute perfection. Not a single kill thus far for Minnesota. And the setup around P1 looks pretty darn complete as well. Kenny up top maybe creates an opportunity for Extrial Nero to pinch, but it all gets red received. And now it's just Geo, the last one left alive. 23 opening seconds. Vancouver feeling a little bit of pressure over towards poolside, but they're still picking up all the kills they need to be comfortable.
And now there's only 5 seconds remaining here at P1, and you have the rotation already over towards the next hill at P2 with 0-4 creating extra layers, being a nuisance behind enemy lines. You have not been able to sniff the hard point right now after Rocker. And like, if this is the form that they're going to play today, yeah, let's just move on to DreamHack, because this is not even close so far.
Jay, sniffing the hard point would be a luxury accommodation here for Minnesota. They barely had any kills. Finally, an opportunity here. A little bit of a late wake up as Minnesota will get a break from the front, supplant the spawns, put themselves in a position to try to get to work early on that opening deficit. But nades, action across the middle of the map, all turning up in favor of Vancouver, leaving Extrial by himself in the back of the hard point, and he is going to be chased out, or a little bit of respect given to his position for a moment. And in that moment, it's Kenny and Extrial to find 3 and a rebreak on the hard point.
Oh, I like the play right there, the 0-4 to instantly cut like straight to the hard point and allow Minnesota to still get those back spawns. But we can't allow Estru to stay alive the way that he did. That's the only reason why they get swarmed by the ARs off of the respawn. And you allow Minnesota to walk away with at least 25 seconds here at P2. But this is where Vancouver find themselves to be one of the best teams on vault. This P3 to P4 rotation is usually locked and loaded for this squad, and they already find 3 kills in the feed.
Estru just trying to keep his life over towards vault stairs. The chase down is underway. 0-4 able to find that kill as Vancouver continue to get the traits that they need to at worst keep the hard point open, but at best control the middle of the map, control the favorable side of the Sons, and now start to make your play forward onto the hard point. But as they do, Kenny and Nero find a couple eliminations. You can see what Vancouver are doing, backing up, making sure they can still spawn good.
Yeah, everyone just making sure you play this a little bit safer. Now we're going to that crucial time on this P3 where there's only 25 seconds remaining. We want to be the team to dominate over towards R, and that's when you allow the SMGs to roam around the middle of the map. 0-4 finds a double. Eventually this gets shut down, but he's had a 9-4 start. Vancouver still soaking up this final 10 seconds. And even if they're not, they have the spawns that they want for the next money hill.
This is such a weird opening to this vault because it does feel like every time we get pivotal moments, it's Vancouver running away with them, but it's only a 25-point game, and Minnesota is going to get blessed with the spawn around the back. Problem is, Kenny cannot get the help he needs to really do too much, and now he's been seen. Shots are out. The chase down should be here by 0-4. Nice stun, though. Gives Kenny a chance, and he's able to finesse a little 1v2. Now he can get around the back, trying to block the spawns, and Kenny is able to keep his life a little while longer to get Minnesota in from the front.
That's a big-time player making a big-time play for his team to simply not give up all this time here at this P4. But on the opposite side, Nasty does the same exact thing. He lines up 3 through the back end. It's Kenny again trying to block those back spawns, but still Surge holding on to time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that every moment that you see Minnesota starting to open things up, put something into their name, they can't quite get that last layer completed, that last obstacle to be hurdled. So Vancouver will technically win out this first rotation by about 30 points. Rotating back to P1, though, this is what you have to be afraid of. Neptune watching on one pinch. Nasty for a moment was watching on the other. And this is opening time for Surge on P1.
Yeah, and if you're Rocky, you need your SMGs to find some success here. A 4-9 starter at Estriel, a 6-13 starter at Nero. Both of these guys love to have this action around this mid-map area. Last time they couldn't get a single second off of this P1, but now they have pressure to go with it. Estriel finds one, a boozer there for the trade. Kenny walks out with the numbers on top in favor of Rocker. They should be able to soak up time now.
Yeah, definitely back in this game after what was essentially a minute worth of only finding 2-3 kills in total. Nero shut down from getting any action towards pool. Estriel finds one trade. Kenny working on this pinch with an SMG up. That will work. One more in front of him, though. And that's where his streak will come to a bit of a pause. Nero trying to still play through this P1 and get behind the second hard point, but he's been read. Vancouver in a good position of control for new, and now it's just about trying to finesse the last 5 seconds at old, which they'll do that as well.
Yeah, just reinforce it with their numbers, knowing that they have the advantage still around the mid-map area. So could be uncontested here at the new HP off the rotation. Now it's Neptune's turn to do the same exact thing that 0-4 did the first go around at P2, which is just create an extra layer. That's already another 4 dead. Spawn so damn far away because you got a boozer just licking a wall back there. I got the black spawns, guys. You guys can continue to roam.
That's exactly what the case is. Neptune, you saw him playing forward. Now it's 0-4's turn. 4 in a row for him. Give him number 5. Doesn't even worry about number 6 and number 7. He's going to trust that his teammates can handle that. And this is what we're talking about with Vancouver, just putting so much tempo across the map, so much pace across the map. If they're always just trusting that someone else can pick up those kills that get through, this may be a bit of a costly decision here. Those Minnesota are taking advantage of the last 20 seconds of scrap time, but even still, from the front, pressure being asserted by the Vancouver AR line.
Yeah, 0-4's not going to give this up for free. He still knows they got these close spawns, but I don't want to allow them to walk away with a full uncontested 20 seconds. So let's just make it mixy at the old R point. So my teammates are uncontested off the road out of new. Gonna be almost up by 40. Same situation for Vancouver. Early off the rotation over towards P3, but this time they're looking for a better response off the chain at P4.
Yeah, Minnesota's been hanging around, but you can't just hang around at a map like Vault against Vancouver. You have to try to dominate a certain moment, and I think this upcoming 60 seconds is an important minute for Minnesota to try to turn this thing into a position of control. Neptune 4 in a row. Off the pinch, there's number 5. Trade is out. Minnesota will also stay in the hard point at the same time. Just comes down to, again, in these next 30 seconds, we need to see them getting win map control back and actually flip these spawns around.
Yeah, we need to start getting aggressive with these kills. We got to time it to perfection. The nade almost connects on 0-4, but he's just going to dodge that. Now create more space over towards the street side. Vancouver dominating the kill feed. The last player to account for is going to be Geo, and he now has to cut his losses and work through the middle of the map. But every kill he finds is massive because Vancouver now not going to have fully set up over at the new HP.
Weird gunfight right there. Even 0-4's like, what just happened? Kenny getting around the outside towards Dumpster as Minnesota are again looking to flip this hard point open. Kenny opens the hill and a chance for Rocker to go into a listen to see if they can secure P4.
We free back there. Okay, that's them. We right there. Top, Okay, big break right here. I'm pulling right. Top part. I'm looking at it. I need top part. One shot skirt, bro. One shot. One shot. I spawned I'm top hole. I'm in the box top. I'll get him in a second. Okay, 0-4 jumped off. What's that? Yeah. There's one hour. 0-4 and 2 win right. I have up time. 2 win right quick. I'm up time. We can see you on one job. Yeah, bro. We can shake. Did he jump? That's my bad. 1-2 one sitting out goal. One's hit at the right goal. I'm trying to get deep right. Hey, Frank, go to me. Give me Frank. I'll take Frank. I think you just went to con. He went on there. I didn't play the top. Flip card. Flip card. Nice. Flip card. Dead. Oh, you played flip. One key hold there. Okay. Okay. P4 square. I square it over. Hold it over. All eight. Buzo. Morning big door. I'm alright. I'm going hallway. They can go front. I'm hallway. I'm alright. Nice. I'll pinch front door. Go one shot. Nice. Hall again. Double. One shot. I got down. I'm all. Down. One bullet. One shot. One shot. They're both one shot, bro. One time. I'm behind him. He lost that time. Okay, they spawned back. L4, there's 2, bro. L4 the bullet cube. Lay a bullet. Pull quick. There's only one time, I think. One shot. In the back. One shot back that time, nasty. He went where? One shot front. There's two time. I hear you, bro. Sonny, I'm with you. Oh, that's down. I'm going right. Hold it. Lego. Three.
Oh, it's not new me.
Last guy boozer.
Well, Jay, this is the epitome of one of those 40 for 20 exchanges where we talk about Minnesota being down 20, then the next hill they're down 30, then 40, then 50. It's just like keeps tallying, and that's just a byproduct of Minnesota continuing to not find a way to win rotation.
Yeah, it's just tough, man. You can't win rotations versus Vancouver, and even when you find yourself in the driver's seat to do the rotation job directly, just gunfights that go down in the final 5 to 10 seconds of that old HP don't go your way, and now you were not fully set up off the rotation. And every single time Vancouver have been able to capitalize on it. They only need 27 points. Again, they find themselves in a situation where they're the team holding down Art with only 25 seconds remaining here at P3. Let's just stay alive on this side of the map, and this map one is ours.
Should feel like a very comfortable finish line is in sight here for Vancouver with all 4 players over the 30 kill marker. Meanwhile, Estrel 16 and 26 just has not been able to get into a rhythm in any form. And yeah, Vancouver will, for the 3rd time, win the rotation over to P4, this time for the most comfortable setup that we've seen to the point. And yeah, 04 is going to stop one on the close corner, Abuza on the other side, and they've got a read on where Estriel is. It's going to have to be some sort of a hero play for Estriel, and he's just stuck at Art right now. We got to make a move.
Oh yeah, you got to go quick. You know that if you are 04, all the press is going to be through the map. Let's just throw a stun, keep them at bay, pull their focus on my end. My teammates are watching the cross, and Vancouver looking to close it out.
Looking pretty good for it, but Gio's double tries to create something over towards the side door. Gio will catch 3. Pistol out, can't quite get the 4th. Neptune 04, they will finish things off in, again, a map that you could just categorize as Minnesota not winning rotation, battling for the last 20 seconds essentially of every hill, and you're just not going to win a hard point against this Vancouver team playing like that.
Absolutely not, man. And just the way that they play all the other hard points as well on this map are beautiful. We're talking about to start off the game, it's a flawless 30 seconds of P1. Don't even get contested once. Now you're off the rotation over towards P2 where you're fully set up, but your SMGs now can create those extra layers of space. We're taking catwalk, we're setting up pitches through poolside, and we're just not allowing you to get close. And this is why Vancouver are just one of those tough teams to handle, because they're always staying consistent with their movement. Their ARs are set up in those power spots. That's why it was difficult for Estriel and Nero to eventually find any openings, if they found any on that map, number 1. But it's just easy for Vancouver when they manipulate the game the way that they do. Win early rotations, find kills on the final 20 seconds when we don't have the roto, so we can set up for that new hill and just always be the team the majority of the time, walk away with the majority of the time at these hard points. It's textbook from Vancouver. They go up 1-0 in the series.
Yeah, I think the other way to kind of talk about this Vancouver hard point, just like, again, no matter what the map is, the things that they do well, you can kind of take in stages. Like stage 1 is win the rotation, get the setup that we want. And if you have that, then you send someone forward to essentially dismantle a break setup before it can even get put together. Like a couple of clips where you see Neptune and 04 do exactly that. But as the hardpoint setup starts to break down, maybe you lose spawns, maybe a break attempt from the front is contesting inside the hardpoint. Their ability to set up these little mini pinches to where they get out of the hill, re-wrap back around the front, get a couple eliminations, and then someone else picks up a crossing angle that you had to give up. It's just, they're covering at each other's bases so quickly. It's just so difficult, it feels like, for low number situations for any opponent to handle where Vancouver is at any moment in time. And again, just kind of talking about that 40 for 20 exchange, you see it again, 20 points at the beginning, and then a 30, and then 40. It just grows and grows and grows as you continue to see these exchanges, 40 for 20s across these hills.
And the thing that's also like very scary about this Vancouver squad in hardpoint is that even if situations where the first person dies off the rotation in the final 5 seconds, and now you're in a 3v4 setup, you are still set up in that situation to walk away out on top. Yeah. You got the proper crosses being set up. The guy who spawns all the way out knows what angle he needs to approach to help his team into the play, and they just have hardpoint basically locked up so far in this game.
It's such a dangerous team, and I think the thing is, you know, let's just take the conversation away from this particular matchup. If you're Vancouver, the desk was touching on it briefly. 2 straight grand finals appearances, but 0-8 in overall map count. as you start to look to how do they improve, how do they possibly win a championship, I don't necessarily look at their hard point. I do look at what they do in the search and destroy, though, because that is, I feel like, where they start to lose composure in those grand finals matchups after emotionally charged map ones that they've lost narrowly. Then you start to see them making mistakes, I think, in the search and destroy. So this is the mode that I really want to see Vancouver really improve on in this major, not only to potentially win a championship there, but to have a favorable outlook towards CDL playoffs overall.
What's so crazy about this is that stat on the right side for Minnesota Rocker just stands out way more than the one on the left, because the fact that you are finding yourself in multiple situations where if we get the bomb down, we're going to walk away with pretty much a W. Yeah. 85% post-plant win percentage is insane, but the fact that we don't really like to work the objective is what's throwing me off. You're going into a map on Rewind when you have had a total of 8 reps, and all being with this lineup. We need to try to figure it out, like, very, very quickly on our offenses. Like, if we get the bomb down, post plants are good. On the opposite side, though, if they allow the bomb to get planted, our retakes aren't really the best. So bomb plants, offenses for both squads are going to be the biggest key here.
I think the thing too about that is that you have a situation where it almost feels like Minnesota play for kills too much in the first minute of these search and destroy rounds, because their first blood percentage has been fine. It just feels like they don't get the bomb down unless they have a 4v2 or they have significant numbers advantages. Like, the objective never has really felt like the win condition for some of these rounds. It usually comes as like an extra bonus, like an icing on the cake on rounds that you feel like have already been won. So that's maybe a part of the problem as well. It's like Minnesota, like, if you're in a 4v3, we still have to be using our numbers to get those bombs planted and again trust our post plant, which has been so successful. And how about it? Let's do it right now. 4v3. You've gotten street control with that win onto 04. We should be looking to get this bomb planted.
Oh yeah, man up advantage. We already have a little bit of presence through the mid street. Kenny's giving info. At least a couple players sitting towards the mid courtyard, but I don't know if he's going to be able to spot that door being open. It doesn't matter though, because he lines them up regardless. Kenny with the beamer. 1v4 now for Neptune.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Now it's a 4v1. Damn. We're going to plant and we're going to win the round. So it's just one of those things that first blood is obviously overemphasized here with the 3 from Kenny, but the statistics often come by way of moments like this, where it's 4v2s, 3v1s, and then we're planting the bomb late. Neptune, little pop over the wall. Maybe sees Kenny, who's working on the opening round ace. Kenny will give him a little bit of space. And, ooh, yeah, I think he may have just saw the slide across. Now you definitely hear the sound cue, and Kenny's going to find all 4 to get us kicking off in this rewind.
Dude, that is unbelievable out of Kenny. To find the first flood onto 04, the freebie on the nasty, but then to get the jump on a boozer when a boozer had to jump on you and Burger with not really many bullets in your clip, he's able to snap onto a boozer for 3 as we take a look back at it again. I don't know what Nasty was doing right here, but a boozer, we gotta get this trade, baby. Quavo Ken makes an appearance. Minnesota secure the first round.
Huge statement. I think in particular because we've seen this Vancouver team on this map love to do what we just saw right there, play kind of a double up over towards Burger. But now a quick action from the SMGs. Neptune for the first, trying to slide away from Estriel, who does get the trade. Follow up though, good for 04. Still action, backside shelves, and a little bit of crossfire with Gio and Kenny working together. And they will win the day over the top of the A site, leaving Abuza for a 1v2.
Yeah, if you're 04 Nasty and Neptune, they're sitting there like Abuza. I thought you had our mid street. These guys are shooting me with all their AR presence from those mid angles. But Minnesota, don't start off with the first blood, just have better positionings. And big shout out to Gio right there, because he was the guy who usually camps around courtyard, instantly finds a trade to make it a 2v2, and then is able to get out of dodge, set up Kenny for that kill to make it a 2v1. And then isolate onto the final player in towards Burger. Vancouver loved those rounds though, Alan, when they can just be in the mix. It's just right there. They didn't have every player in the mix, and unfortunately comes back to bite them.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And that's kind of, again, talking about Vancouver, we've spent a lot of time mentioning what Rockers kind of, well, either pros and or cons sometimes come from. But for this Vancouver team, in particular on Rewind, it's been a pretty successful map for them, especially lately with that round 11 win versus Toronto. But they have been subject to getting a little bit over aggressive and being punished for it, as Kenny's RCXD will come to a pretty anticlimactic finish through the middle of A. Doesn't even allow the bomb to really get through, but Gio has gotten a look at 04, and they know that Generators is not safe.
Yeah, and this is why they're not being super quick in towards the safe site. They use a lot of attacks. They use an RC card, but with Gio having that info, that they have an angle to shut us down here at the A site. We got to try to find an opening, and Kenny's able to strike again through the mid street. Narrow finds a second. Instant 4v2. Let's get the objective down.
Nasty, good timing with a little pop out to find at least one kill onto Nero, but yeah, Kenny has just not allowed anybody to move from Burger through that street in any form. 8-0 through 3 rounds. Nasty little shot punch come through, but there's Kenny for kill number 9, and we may have some record-setting pace here out of Quavo Ken.
Yeah, this guy might be employee of the month over there in the Burger Town. Every single kill that's going down on that side. It's always been one in favor of Kenny. A 9-0 start. Hellstorm already secured in the back pocket. And for Rocker, looking for some kind of life. Obviously being down by 40. But Optic finding that W in their previous series versus Ultra. You need to try to make up some. Kenny's at least having the answer here in Search and Destroy.
Yeah, he had it in the hard point too, let's be honest. He was the one keeping Minnesota even remotely in the game early. So heck of a series from Ken to this point, and at a certain point, you might even want to think about, like, let's just let Kenny just go kill things, because he has got triple the number of kills as the rest of his teammates. Vancouver going to really just, again, appreciate and respect the fact that Minnesota will meet them to fight inside of A. Will toss their nades and get out of there. But look at this, 4-man wrap for Minnesota, and Vancouver have no idea about this.
Yeah, they're doing this very, very quickly, and they already spot these generator doors being open, so you're not going to expect a raid flank through mid-zig, and that's going to allow Estrio and Nero to line up the first 2. This sort of looks like the way that Vancouver are playing this, the way that Minnesota like to play it early on, which is just slow as hell through gens, and if that doesn't work out, then we're just going to get collapsed on 1v4 here for Abuza.
And Kenny has, I'm sure, some idea that Abuza likes to play towards this outside street. And the more that they wait, the more that, well, this could happen. Hi there, how are you? Kenny's got double-digit kills, 10-0 start for Ken.
He is Mr. Burger. Mr. Burger Town right now. He's found at least 7 of his 10 kills on this side of the map. And that one couldn't come any easier. Walks right into the butt of Abuza, shoots him in the back, and puts him at a flawless 10-0. But this is where Vancouver just need to start to step up their pacing now. That's 4 rounds in a row where you're just allowing Minnesota to dictate how the map is going to be played. And when you're not really playing for info early on into these rounds, they are just catching you off guard with their mid-round investments. So Vancouver need to step up the pacing here.
Oh, look at the respect. They don't even want to challenge Kenny anymore. They're just going to put Abuza on the corner barrel. Let all the SMGs just play over towards gens. Gio's gotten the read at this, though, with doors being popped and nades likely coming through, and Gio will find the opening first blood. Vancouver just looked completely distraught without their ability to play through street, legitimately.
Nothing is currently working for them. Picked off again, now in another 4v2 round again, and now another 1v4 round for Neptune, technically on the cards. And Kenny trying to find kill number 11.
I think there are some Call of Duty aficionados that are sitting here saying, we want this game to go longer because we want to see Kenny continue to do this. 11-0. And there may not be enough rounds to play for him to break the record, but in terms of flawless search and destroy, you're getting it right now out of Ken.
Yeah, he might end this map with the highest S&D KD that we have on the season. So far, 11.0. Kenny, yeah, I'll be smiling too, man. The search and destroy cannot get any easier than this. And keep in mind, still, he has that Hellstorm in his back pocket. You're probably going to use it here to try to close out 6-0.
Yeah, why not? Not many words that could be saved here. Ooh. Maybe a little screen shake takes him away from the last bullet needed to find first blood for kill number 12.
No way this is their play ball.
Apparently it is. We're just going to go all the way around the outside over to B for a quick plant. And you may beat the timing of the Hellstorm here if you're Vancouver, but the retake can be difficult, I would say, to try to blast through with, this happening. Hellstorm's in. You've got all 3 Minnesota players playing inside. And now it just comes down to the timing of when they want to try to crunch in towards gens. Astral trying to make the first move, doesn't win the first battle. Follow-up is decent. Nero, one more. Yeah, absolutely. And now it's just down to Neptune 1v2.
Time is on his side, though. 20 seconds. Well, you just got to locate a 1v1, but Nero prepared with the snap through gens. And Quavo, Kenny, smiling from cheek to cheek. Yep. That's a clean 6-0 from Rocker with a flawless S&D map out of him. 11.0 KD. Very, very typical out of Quavo.
Yep. It's that smile. That damn smile. That's where the trouble began. On the search and destroy. Wow, quick one here as Vancouver really take control of the hard point in almost immediate fashion. But Minnesota, a dramatic bounce back. And even with a 1-1 map count, again, like Kenny played really well in that first map, keeping Minnesota in the game longer than you may have figured considering how it was going. So 11-0. I mean, scuff play of the game, just send the Kenny montage because that has to be it.
And we should have known, Alan, like right off the rip of the game, when he lines up 3 the way that he does. The first one's cool and all. The second one's great. But this snap onto a Booza is unbelievable. That just gives you full momentum, full confidence going into the rest of the S&D map. And yes, you best believe that is a new S&D record, previously held by Attach with a 10.0. This time, Kenny won up some 11.0, a little bit better.
Unbelievable stuff. I'm telling you, I kind of wanted there to be more rounds of search to see how high he could go because he was finding, legitimately, it felt like multiple kills every single time he had a 2-piece in front of him. He was finding both. But there's that infectious smile that Ken brings to the table, the energy that Minnesota's looking for, immediately found in the rewind search and destroy. So now we look at this series maybe a little bit differently because the protocol control coming up next is, well, to be fair, it's an interesting one just because Vancouver at one point in time would just run and gun you on this map. They've been held back just a touch overall, but it still feels like a mismatch just kind of looking at Vancouver's ability to play control compared to Minnesota's. But I don't know, could this be a career series out of Kenny that could get them a chance to try to, again, keep that deficit between them and Optic a little bit closer for a spot at playoffs as we head back to the desk.
Bro, I swear to God. But no, I want to know, okay, I'm not like, I didn't star in Beautiful Mind or I'm not a mathematics genius, but a 10 KD is 10-1, correct? Kenny went 11-0. I don't know what that is. That's like an infinite KD. Have we seen? I don't know the last time we saw someone go double digits and 0.
No. I know Thanos is kind of slashers thing, but I feel like Kenny might become the new Thanos in the purple jersey. Take a look at the perfection from Minnesota as you blank Vancouver. Clint was freaking out when Kenny was at 9-0, and then the number kept climbing. And now you are probably the biggest Kenny stan. Formal being on front of Kenny on your favorite humans list. But what are we feeling about Kenny's team as a whole?
Formal was the love of my life. Listen, this is one you were feeling really good for Rocker. I think it'd be a 6-0, but this was a pain point for Surge with the last major, especially in the Thieves matchup. And where did they get beat up? They got beat up on Street and Burger, where Hydra and Scrap kept finding openings. They could not deal with like the street side plays, and that's exactly where Kenny found openings. So am I shocked that's the case? No, but I guess I would have hoped Surge may have improved a little bit. But they just got destroyed.
Yeah, they just got destroyed. I already said when we were going into this Minnesota Rocker, if they're going to find anything, it's going to be in that rewind, just because it fits their play style really well. And Surge just found some struggle, but nobody could have seen Kenny going 11-0. Nobody could have seen that coming.
Easy Mac, let me know what the most impressive, most kills with 0 deaths in CDL history is, because I got to find out. I don't know.
I'm going to go ahead and say it was probably Attaches 10-0.
He was probably 10-1 though. Was he 10-0 or 10-1?
DeHoom's 10-0 because we don't have the official numbers here. I just see a KD.
You see a 10, but that's 10-1.
I know we have a telestrator. Let's get to it. Draw me.
Yeah, we're going to do it. All right, so I'm going to go back to this map number 1. I would be shocked if we see Surge play Volt Hardpoint ever again. They're so good at this map, and the reason being is just the decision-making and the teamwork from the side of Vancouver Surge. So we're about already through most of this game. They already got about a 30-point lead here, and this was an opportunity for Minnesota Rocker. They broke into this P1. They did the hard work. They had the spawns for the P2, and this is where it gets blown completely wide open. And it's mainly off the back of Neptune being that opener. So we're going to open to this mini-map. We're going to play it out just a little bit. So it's going to be Neptune. So you'd pause this, right? And you would think that the first engagement, when you go into the overhaul, you think the first person that's going to get this kill is probably going to be Nasty. He's going to be that front line. Or even Abuza, because he's already in a gunfight trying to push through this main entry. And it's not. It's actually going to be Neptune, who is over here. That's going to be number 4. He's going to go top hallway. Now, what is Nasty going to do? Nasty is going to go underneath into Vault. And Nasty is not going to hop up. He's going to trust his teammates in this situation situation and wait for a pick. The communication is on point. He's going to sit here. Neptune's going to find the opener. Abuza ends up going rogue on Estriel. Nasty hops up, cleans up the rest of the kills. So already we're getting really good P1 time. And off the back of this, you would expect Vancouver Surge, obviously they're going to want to push these lanes. They're going to want to go for these P2 spawns. But they decide instead, because they already have such a huge lead, to take their time, to soak this P1 time. And suddenly a flip comes through. Vancouver Surge don't get spawned, but Minnesota Rockers sure do. They're going to play spoiler. But what does Vancouver Surge do? First wave doesn't work out.
Bam.
So what are we going to do? We're all going to group up off of this little couple seconds of scrap time, and we're going to send all of these players towards this top hallway to try and break over towards this P2 from the front. This is something Vancouver Surge does incredibly well over and over again, is abusing their numbers when they have it. So playing it out on the mini-map, you're going to see number one's going to get taken down, and it's going to be Neptune once again that is going to make the decision. You saw him, instead of pushing the same route, tries to go through the backside, catch the player off guard. And what is so important about that in this situation is that Neptune, instead of turning for the player that traded out his teammate, goes for the player in Hill and trusts the people behind him to clean it up. And that allows Vancouver Surge to continuously run with Vault hardpoint. Their decision making is on point.
Bam! Vancouver's hardpoint is on point, and that is going to be game 4. You want to do this last one?
Yeah, wait.
Hold on.
I would like to say that was Kenny Search was the first flawless on the season. So whoever put 11 KD, wrong. First flawless on the year. It's not how math works.
KD. Kenny.
Put an infinite symbol and then put KD. God and then put Kenny.
All right, we're getting out of here. Back to the cast.
Oh, that's true. I guess it doesn't look like that.
What is happening in Columbus? What is happening in Columbus? Crazy scenes. But hey, again, we kind of framed this up as we were going to break. Skirt it all you want. We are going to have at least 4 maps. And this control, I think, really, if you were to look at Minnesota and tell me that they deserve to make playoffs, this is the mode that I'm looking at for them. Like, they have to be more consistent across the board at what they bring to the table in map number 3, because against some of the top teams that are out there, they've really struggled. Like, their win percentage versus the top teams in control is pretty down there. Yes, they've been decent this stage, but this is where I think they need to prove that if they want playoffs, they need to be better in control.
Hey man, it needs to start with slaying. Like, if you're gonna have your SMGs who are roamers, who love to create space, who love to set pace early on, Estriel and Nero sitting right now in this stage so far like a 0.9 overall. It's not really the best. And then when you're going up against the top teams who can definitely outslay you, you're not going to have a good time. So this is going to be the map right here that really decides this entire series, because Vancouver recently, they've gotten like 2 dubs in control, but this has been the mode that they have been struggling a lot ever since stage 3. So already going to be the team to start off on the defense. The break off is always going to be the biggest start, and at least for Kenny's sake, we're finding a lot of success early on towards B.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Kenny's he wants playoffs. I think that's the veterancy that you're starting to see start to come through, stepping up in a big way. 2-0 start for Kenny. Still flawless if you combine map 2 and map 3 together at the time being. Whatever you want to call that from a KD standpoint, you can call it that. But on A, go Minnesota. Vancouver trying to play for spawn traps. Nice shots though from Estriel. Almost finds another, but the trade is out, and Nero doubles down, leaving Abuza as one of the last one left. But Nasty actually spawns like right on top of him over towards that top ladder position, and that's enough for Vancouver to get the defense back into play.
Yeah, Vancouver are not going to allow, throughout all the chaos, at least segments to get away from them. The first one now is going to get locked in for Rocker. They have a double stack going on, but you were surrounded by Vancouver players. It's just no one is finding a kill. Kenny off the respawn is able to line up a double. Second segment already locked in time. Realistically, should already be extended.
Yep, Estriel just going to stay down. Kenny watching over the top. And Vancouver have chalked this point and are now going to try to get the defense forward on the other side of the map, but not able to do that either. That's going to be 3 dead, and now you've got a route for Estriel. He could really foil this defense. You find these 2 kills, you're on to B for some significant pressure, and it's just down to Nasty. Last one left, but he clears off the zone, stays alive, finds a Semtex kill, and Vancouver will save the B point for now.
Yeah, and that's where Rocker just kind of played a little bit more patient. Wait for Estriel, who was going to be the game changer right there on that bench. Just keep them sitting on the backside of tower and allow your SMG to create the play. But you drop from the front. Vancouver eventually walk away with the numbers, and now they're able to stabilize on the map for a little bit. Minute and 20 to work with. You're currently down by 3 lives, but Nero trying to catch the timing on the pinch.
Yeah, this is going to continue just to put a lot of pressure on Vancouver from the live standpoint. And now you've got 3 dead rather, pardon me. Nasty will make it 4 dead. 2 members on the B point. Gio gonna watch the cross up top. Everyone else just has to keep their guns up down low. Kenny gonna watch the opposite angle of this. Abu's the first one to show himself and the first one to fall. First tick done, second on the way. Nero stuns, nades all being thrown his direction, and he's not quite able to stay alive. Vancouver will keep the clock ticking, but the second tick at B is locked in.
Now, if you're Vancouver, you can't really afford any mistakes from here on out. Only 6 lives to your side, make it 5. Everyone on the side of Minnesota seemingly look to have an AR in hand. No more respawns for Surge, and this is looking like a rock around.
Yeah, very clean rock around at that. Nasty on the staircase, only good for 1. And Neptune, well, he'll just dive on in because you don't want to give that last tick of progress in. So first offensive round successful for Minnesota with 5 ticks captured and a huge life lead at the end of the first round.
Yeah, Rocker is shooting right now, man. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, Kenny's just giving them life after that search and destroy. And everyone was able to hold down their own in that round number 1. Gio loves to camp to his top trips window. He loves to be the safety net. And when he needs to be the aggressor, he's also able to do it. But you dominate in the sling in round number 1. You walk away with 5 seconds. Minnesota now in the driver's seat.
Yep. Calls for a lot for Vancouver to try to respond, to show some life since the first map. And if Minnesota win this break off and get spawn trap control, woof, you start to really feel like the momentum may just carry them through the rest of this series. But a lot to ask. Here's Nero through mid. Estriel down low on the other side through the ropes. Patience for Vancouver, trying to get a read on what exactly the defense of the Rocker want to do. And now that they have the information, it's just about actually following up on it. Good kill from Neptune. One more. Yep, able to find that as well. Won't be able to get out with his life, but for Vancouver, they stopped that initial aggression from Minnesota.
Yeah, they just initially to start off that break are just playing for that aggression. They were not really focused on anything else besides catching these kills of these players working on these pinches. Now that they cleared out their spawn, it's time to work their way through this A objective, but need to line up a couple more on the outskirts. Nasty and 04 already combined for 2 first segments. Are going to be worked on, and now Estriel, your job is to work on his pitch.
Yeah. Nice patience from 04, 3 in a row. Clearing out the top of Grandma's house. Maybe a route here for Nero. No, Buza was watching that. Takes care of it quickly. Second tick of progress should be good. And maybe more than that. You can rotate over quickly here if you're Vancouver. You've got 04 manipulating the spawns to push Minnesota over towards the bottom side of the map, while you still have Nasty on the A zone by himself and Neptune getting to work on the first tick at B.
You're up by 5 lives. Can Neptune get anything done at this B point, or at least get some information of how many players are playing on that side? Now you have a minute and 56 seconds to work with. Booze is starting to come alive on 3 in a row. You need his AR to be felt on a map like Protocol. So you're halfway on the progression over towards B. You're currently up by 4 lives. You're just looking now for an opening.
Yeah, but Minnesota have created a space through the previously captured A zone to get Estriel around the back line, and the ARs for Minnesota are keeping Vancouver kind of stuck in no man's land. Neptune is kind of doing the same thing to Minnesota's defense, though. It's just down to if 04 can stay alive, and no, Neptune will be called upon to find the trade. So everything kind of gets back into neutral corners. Minute 20 on the clock, 5 left advantage though for Vancouver, and well, they're trying to get back over to B, but Neptune gets shut down.
Oh, that's a big kill right there from Gio. I feel like without question throughout this entire season, he's been like one of the best ARs up close and personal versus SMGs. He just whips out those gunfights out of nowhere, and it always leaves me jaw drop. But now Minnesota have some good space to work with. You take their 3, you push up on the map, and now Surge are going to waste a lot of time to work out of their spawn because you keep on finding kills.
Yeah, Gio down to a bullet, waiting for help. It's a clean feed for Minnesota. And now Vancouver are feeling very claustrophobic as they can't get out of spawn. Abuza, no, dance with by Gio. 04 misses the player around the back, that's Nero. And they can't get the trade, wow. Just like that. Vancouver looked like they were cooking up a solid offense. They were up 5 lives, now they're down 10. And it's not getting any better. What a turn up from Minnesota. And it all starts with that little bit of success that they found through the previously captured A point. They get around the back, they get players in for a spawn trap, and Vancouver gets stuck.
It's unbelievable how Minnesota are playing when they're at this level. Like, Kenny gets you through the search or destroy, but usually when Minnesota find a lot of success is when this young man is on point. Nero just gets lost in your spawn. AR, SMG does not matter. The guy is just full of raw talent, and he is never going to shy away from a big moment. Rocker now quickly up 2-0 in the control. You're still up by 2 segments. And if you allow this guy to not play in that 3 p.m. slot, yeah, he's usually going to give you hell.
Yeah, that's so true. And if Minnesota can come out and win this offense and just completely shock Vancouver with a 6-0 search and a 3-0 control, you look at a back-to-back red card like, okay, we can do this if you're Minnesota. Again, a lot on the line for them. Certainly sitting outside of the playoff picture, but trying to keep the deficit close between them and Optic. And a chance to also get into the winner's bracket, which could be huge for their point tallies in Dallas. But still have to go up against this dangerous Surge team who are now starting to find a more successful defensive break-off, and they've got a spawn trap in play.
And Gio's not just going to play his life. Look how close he is towards that Hellstorm. He knows how valuable at least 1 kill can be, but overcommits onto the gunfight versus Nasty, and Nasty makes him pay for it. Now if you're Vancouver, you got to play this round with a little bit of frustration because we're down in segments. We're obviously getting outslayed, but if we can get some Hellstorms going into these next couple of rounds, it's going to stand a better chance.
Absolutely. But Estriel, Nero. Whoa, nice shots from Estriel. Long range with the Jackal doesn't make a difference. Nasty with the trophy system, just trying to be the solo defender on the A point, but there's just too many Rocker members to deal with. So the clock will pause. 31 seconds on it. Abuza clears Estriel off the zone. It's going to force Kenny to have to fall out the window to get back in the point because the clock is under 30.
Yeah, you need to get some segments. You do not want to get shut out here, so thankfully Kenny's going to be thinking about that objective. First one already locked. The double stack almost good for the second one, but now it's on Gio. If he can find a couple multi-kills in the feed, finesse a little bit longer, and that's exactly what he is doing. He stalls out time for Estriel to get into the play. He eventually will fall, and so does Estriel, so all of that for nothing.
All that for nothing. 15 seconds left. Kenny, the last one playing forward. He's got Nasty for free, but would need more than that to get his teammates out of this mini spawn trap.
What?
Oh, that'll work. Couple of tags onto 04 deep on sidewalk. Clock comes back to a pause at 6.2. Minnesota have the kills to try to keep themselves in place on the point. Kenny with the pistol, quick swap back over. Second tick looking good on A.
Third one might be guaranteed because the other 2 players from Surge are already working on this deep pinch. They're not going to be in a position to get back into the play in time. So now an extra minute added. Minnesota only down by 2 lives. And now if you're Vancouver, this is a crucial moment in the game. Thankfully, your players who are working those pitches find a couple kills. You already lead to 3. Last players in their spawn, and we now have map control again.
Think gunfight's still on the way, though. They got to read that 04 is playing over towards the outside at pillars. Good read from Kenny, but 04 is better on the angle. Neptune follows up. That's 3 dead for Minnesota. 12v6, 30 seconds on the clock, and Minnesota are a bit stalled out, just trying to get some feet on the ground over towards their spawn. That will open things up, but Neptune's on the pinch, and again, everything comes to a staggering halt with 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, 10v3. You're happy as hell if you're Rocker to at least walk away with some segments here because Vancouver this entire round just dominating that mid-map presence. And one opportunity Minnesota found themselves and they made the most of it, and they might be able to do something here. Nope, 0.6 seconds. Kenny's just gonna instantly fall. And Vancouver finally put one on the board, but now you're down by 5 segments. You win this offense through all 6, you're gonna be the team on defense again, but you gotta get it through this offense.
And we'll see exactly what that call looks like. This Vancouver team, I think more often than not, you think about their offensive breakoffs, it usually results onto a focus towards A. But do they have anything that kind of maybe helps them read over towards field? Because looking at how Minnesota have broken off, they love to get Nero through mid and at that front door at 10. And if you could just find that long range 1v1 over towards top tower behind the B point, you got to be thinking that you could be sprinting over towards the zone. Abuza is going to be the first one over to the left. 04 Neptune nothing want to play through Spiral. And yeah, that's exactly the case. Again, you've got Nero at the front doors. Astral trying to assist, but there's no one on the B point. And a chance here for Vancouver, to just have their break off, move on to B.
Yeah, perfect call there from you, Alan. Just this time, step up in their pacing on their approach. Because last time they wasted at least 30 seconds in their spawn, trying to clear out their spawn, and didn't really give themselves a lot of opportunities to think about an objective point. But now kills are going your way. You already have space taken on the backside of tower. First segment locked here at B, and now Nasty, your job is just stay alive as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, and to keep these spawners for Minnesota out and deep. Neptune almost, no, but gets caught on the attack sprint. Nasty thinking about the follow-up, but he's caught the hefty part of a nade and is just going to wait for his teammates to try to give him the assistance that they need. Gio able to win 1v1, almost able to find the response on a Nasty, but instead he turns that into 2, almost 3. Kenny, the last one left, trying to have a little bit of an angle onto Neptune. Second tick is done at B, but Kenny has saved the zone and almost gets the pistol for the full 4-man feed.
That's an insane play right there. Again, has another massive moment for his team to have another lifeline of stopping that B pressure, because this round could have got heavily out of hand. But with players like Kenny, the experience that he has, he is not going to shy away from any moment. Now Minnesota have map control. You have Estria roaming through bottom trip. He's going to take some premature shots and get baited switched out. Now Surge got to direct their way over towards A.
The heck of a shoulder on a Neptune. But Kenny, 25 and 20, trying to dig back into this life deficit, which Minnesota are facing at the tally of just 3. Vancouver having a little bit of a hard time getting out of spawn, but are now starting to get a little success over towards the A point. Gio has to stay alive here. You've got Vancouver on both zones at the same time. You got to make a decision if you're Rocker.
And these segments just keep on getting away from you. 30 seconds left on the round, but Vancouver already have 4 tally to their name. Abuza lines up a double. He's on 4 in a row. The nade is going to have that player weak, and now time extended, and you're up by 6 lives. But this final segment needs to be guaranteed if you're Surge. We can't get it done through the kills.
Yep, and Vancouver's taking their time for now, just making sure they don't get caught off guard as they make their way back over to B. Big moment here. Neptune doesn't get the first look at Nero. 04 playing backstairs. Teammates have cleared out lockers. And so now he's just waiting for them to get into position to watch over the top of them so he can make the play on towards the zone. But Kenny able to step up for the first. Leads to Estriel behind it, but Neptune with the win. We should stack this. Just don't get the kill, and they do get it by progression just before that dive comes in. So I believe Vancouver should have the edge now to start this round 5 on defense.
100%. They are going to be the team on defense, and I love the adjustment from Surge on their previous attacking round to their second attacking round. They wasted 30 seconds on their initial break off. This time they said, no, we're not going to allow you to take all the map control initially away from us and wait for you to eventually run into our preempt. No, we're going to dictate to how this one is going to be played. Abuza shuts it down with a lot of successful kills over towards the B Street. SMG's continuously getting lost on the backside of tower, and Vancouver have bounced back all the way from down 0-2 to now be the team on defense going into round 5.
But will that matter after Minnesota has already shown so much success on the attacking front? This comes down to, can they get it over the finish line after finding 5 ticks on the first round, winning it by progression, or by kills rather, I should say, and then following up their second offense with a full win on the A zone. Opening 1v1s, going the way of Minnesota, largely speaking. Kenny follows up to find 04 for that trade. Oh, Gio, nice little finesse onto a Booze that just stays away from the gunfight until he feels good about it. And that's going to lead to the first tick at A, done and dusted.
Okay, Nero already takes a lot of space on the backside of Grandma's, but he's knocked down to 10 HP in a drain. He's still going to commit on this top position. He's going to catch 04 off guard. Even though 04 finds a kill, he should allow his teammates to still be contested here at this A point, but Neptune lines up a double on the pinch, and now you're forced to hit the reset.
Yeah, and you have to take a breath here if you're Minnesota. Don't force this because you're so close to capturing A. That third tick has been fully depleted. Vancouver come away with a couple eliminations to keep the defense playing forward, in particular Neptune at helicopter to keep the sidewalk safe. And if he finds kills, he's immediately in position for a spawn trap. Gio looking to try to track down this player. Topside Grandma's looks good for it. And Neptune also has been traded, so Vancouver not able to fully get their spawn trap into play.
But now you got to get past the lines of Nasty, who's already behind enemy lines. He knows that the play is going to be over towards this 8 point. Going to run right past player narrow capping the spawn and should be able to almost line up someone, but the time does get extended. Surge currently up by 1 life to clear out 2. And there's still players they aren't accounted for.
Yeah, chase is on for Gio. Pistol in hand for Neptune. Can't find him. Wow.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, Neptune is stuck off the map. Don't love that. And now all of a sudden Minnesota through the middle of the map are trying to get their way over towards B, but picking up and keeping the Surge defense alive is 04.
Oh, man, if you're Neptune, big shout out to my teammates, man, because I don't know what I was chasing a ghost there on the Geo. But at least the ARs from my squad still holding down those crosses. 14v14 in lives remaining. A minute left to work with. You have 0-4 trying to time this flank through mid spiral, but Minnesota there waiting for it, and Escher still doesn't win the gunfight.
Yeah, 13v13, 50 seconds to play. Geo touches the zone. 0-4 can't quite get up top on ropes. Who's the next one to go here for Vancouver? It may have to be Nasty, as there's 2 players down low. Yeah, Nero and Geo are still hanging on the B point. That's a second tick of progress that's moving very rapidly.
Let's go.
0-4 back into the play, finds the first. Nero pushed off the ladder. Kenny's seen down low, and 0-4 able to get back on, but not before that second tick gets locked in.
And they still haven't accounted for where Nera has gone. So now if you're the player off the respawn and Abuza, yeah, the comms are definitely hitting on the side of Surge. Now everyone is accounted for. 35 seconds, you're currently up by 3 lives, but you know, Rocker, only have like 1 more or 2 more good pushes at this.
Yeah, it's going to be 1 more good push. And a couple of thorns in the side they need to deal with first as Vancouver continue to show force close towards the Minnesota side of the map. Route by Geo, trying to get around the back. Clock to a momentary pause as Estriel will fall. Kenny in trouble. Can't get the first. Geo would have to do something special here. First one's good. Second one, no. What a snap from Abuza. And not done yet as Vancouver have the crossfire over the top. They'll take the round 5 defense and the swing map in the series.
Whew, that's got to be demoralizing if you're Rocker, because the first 3 rounds are basically flawless on your end. ARs are finding kills, SMGs are slaying the Abyss. It dominated in the segment column, but Vancouver just needed 1 lifeline. They did it on their defenses. They get to their attacking round and have a beautiful break off to the game of everyone just committing over towards B Street. You were finding successful kills with the ARs watching over. SMGs were also getting lost into their spawn, but in that final attacking round there for Vancouver, they just had Minnesota on their toes at all times because they're showing presence at B, they're showing presence at A, and you really couldn't make a good decision on what you were trying to execute on your retake. And unfortunately for them, doesn't matter if you're up 2-0, Vancouver are that squad with the teamwork that makes the dream work. They come back 3 rounds in a row and take the advantage now in the series.
Yeah, that's one of those that really does. You kind of look at it, rather, I should say, and you think that might be where the season could be determined. There's a map that looks like that. Now, again, there's going to be a chance here for Minnesota to still put something together at the major if this series goes, well, the way that it had been so far in the respawns. But the critical point about this series for Minnesota is not just the 10 points, but the ability to find yourself in the upper bracket at Dallas, a bit more of a lifeline to try to catch up to Optic, maybe even face them and beat them. That would be incredible net points for Rocker fans, but the story of the year so far for Minnesota has been a lack of ice, and that may have come into play there in map number 3, now forcing them to have to win back-to-back red cards.
And it's going to be tough, at least if you do force it to that map number 5, because Vancouver Surge, they love red card search and destroy. They just haven't been able to play it in quite some time. But you got to get through this next HP, where if you are Minnesota, you have a couple reps on it. Overall, as a squad, this is one of the ones that you love to play. You had a 3-3 overall record. You find yourself pretty decent off the rotations, but probably one of the best teams in holes. So like when you're fully set up, you're soaking up a lot of time here, but we see it on the other hand as well. When they are not fully set up and they're forced to try to find breaks, that is basically never going to happen, especially versus a squad like Vancouver Surge. It's going to be a tough one, but if you're Minnesota, backs against the wall, you know how desperately you need these 10 points. You got to put it all together here and not roll over and die here on map 4.
Yeah, and I think the thing too kind of about this, to kind of maybe take this into a more like an immediate story point, this Minnesota team in Hardpoint had been good at rotating throughout this stage. And I think that is one of those things that obviously we didn't see. It wasn't evident in the vault. That's how they lose that map, even though Kenny gives them a lifeline to continue to keep the game relatively close. But on a map like Red Card, you have to just be right on top of the game. And I think the thing about it is it's gonna have to be good fundamental Call of Duty coming out of Minnesota. You know, we've seen moments where the team will come out and they'll be down by 90 points in the first 5 hard points, and then that gap becomes too big to make up because they're so late to getting a read on what their opponent is doing or just getting themselves into a rhythm. In map 4, with the possible playoff on the line, you have to come out and play fundamental COD from the first second of this hard point, because we know Vancouver is going to run around you. You just cannot be lost doing just finding red dot chases and, you know, hoping that you can break with like a 3v4. You just have to play good fundamental COD is the long and short of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we definitely need good fundamental COD. And what we saw in map number 1 was the biggest thing that you want on a vault hardpoint is the P3 to P4 chain. Vancouver won every single one of those rotations in that situation. On a map like Red Card, you want the P3 to P4 chain. You want to be able to be that team to trap them on the backside of the staircase, be the team initially to start off at Sage, because that's one of the most difficult hills that we have on this map to try to find breaks in, because ARs are just mowing down over the crosses, stuns and nades are getting invested, and there's a lot of car bombs on both ends that make an impactful play. So if you're Minnesota Rocker, that is your key. Just don't allow Vancouver to dominate the power spots on the power hills like the way they did in map 1.
Especially early. Keep yourself in the game. Don't go down by 90 points. We said that all the way back in Major 1 qualifiers. It's still been a persistent problem for this Rocker team when it comes to hard points, really throughout the entirety of the year, no matter what the roster has been. So with your season potentially on the line, trying to get back-to-back red card wins, keep the gap between you and Optic close, and maybe even have a chance to square up a head-to-head battle in winners round 1 if you find a way to beat this Vancouver team. Lots on the line. Whereas for Vancouver, this is about just getting more comfortable and trying to put yourself in a position to be a major champion, or at least be in a caliber of a kind of opponent to where you may be a contender again for a championship.
Yeah, there's Shikatana getting 4 of those in the grand finals. 04 might have to change his name is what I've been hearing around the streets, but 30 seconds still here to play with at P1. A perfect break off there from Surge to apply all the pressure through the middle of the map, dominate early hedge control, but Minnesota respond instantly with their ARs. Now they're going to be able to take the lead, and they have head control on the stage side, which they want for that P2.
Yeah, I like that moment early on here for Minnesota, talking about what their composure looks like. We lose that battle over the top of the hard point. Let's just make sure we can keep contesting hedge. You do better than that. You win it. Now you're back into the hard point, and you're going to have a marginal lead as we head over to P2. With the read on the Neptune early, he'll just get out of there, stay away. And Nero will be the first one in for Minnesota over towards streets.
Hey, it's just tough because now Kenny, the only player that was staying alive over towards stage, he falls, and now all of Rocker swanning on the backside of this P2. Vancouver have stage control, they have top hedge control, and Nero simply is going to get outnumbered. The break is good enough for Surge, and now if you're Rocker, you cannot allow this moment to start to spiral out of control.
Yeah, big life here for Geo. Oh, and he gets stunned and dealt with quickly. Neptune falls inside the hard point, so Minnesota chance to contest with the trophy system down, but 04 picks up on that immediately with now 3 in a row. 6 and 2 for him early in this hard point. Caught on the reload, though, as Minnesota continues trying to fight for this last 15, but again, it doesn't have to just be on the hard point. They need to play through it as well.
If you're Minnesota, at least in this situation, you will take it, because if you die in the final 4 seconds of this P2, you're going to be blessed with the easy rotation over towards New, but Surge are just cutting their losses. You can have all that outside pressure. We're going to fully set up in through the staircase and bait the team off the rotation to New. Nero tries to approach a different angle from top side, but Abuza's going to get overwhelmed. Thankfully, the trade's still going down and Surge still holding.
Yeah, nice shots there from 04. Doesn't expect that there's a second player initially, but still gives Kenny a workout. Vancouver still spawning over towards garage side. Minnesota setting up over towards bus. Neptune trying to meet that resistance right at the front of it, and will get enough damage to allow his teammates to get initial trades, but Minnesota have cleared the hard point out. Nasty just trying to stay alive, wait for help, but he'll be chased down by Nero, and a chance for Minnesota to get into the hill.
Yeah, and this is that situation I was talking about before the map starts. Try to trap them in the backside of this P3 hard point. Final 20 seconds, we do not want to flip, but we don't want to also give up this time for free. So now if you are Surge, try to push your way on out. Geo making your life a living hell, but you're still finding kills to not make it easier for Minnesota to fully set up at New.
Good first kill there from Kenny over at Ticket. Geo in position to try to at least put some resistance into any rotations for Vancouver through street side. But the player that's going to be in the fray next is likely to be Nero, playing kind of behind this Vancouver setup. Kenny pulling some focus his direction top third as Minnesota have gotten into the hard point, but they do lose Nero. And now you don't really have anyone at mid. Kenny's trying to fight that back over towards this back hedge, but Nash is going to push the issue, find the kill, and now Vancouver can try to challenge the hard point.
Yeah, they just got to get into the hard point. Got to locate where this player is camping on the bottom side. Wall bang's good enough to eventually take care of him. Surge able to find a much needed break. Still a lot of time to fight for. 25 seconds and all the airs from Minnesota starting to set up pinches, clutching up on our one-on-ones, and this is going to be their time. A massive moment for Rocker to take the lead by a slight margin. Oh, the wall bang good enough from Nancy to not allow him the final 10.
And that's just another moment in a long list of exhibits here from Vancouver where it's just like they should have no business getting into the last 18 seconds, and they don't just neutralize it. They still walk away with the majority of that time. And now look at the map. They're trying to get isolation over towards Geo. They know he's playing somewhere over towards the backside of the exec offices. They find that kill, and now you can stage yourself up for a quick break attempt over towards noon.
Yeah, we have BS&D control. Now all we have to do is with our ARs is find our kills over towards the top side of the head glitches. Neptune whips out an extra one. That's all 4 dead. Now we got to take a little bit more space, knowing that they're all coming from Esky side. P5 is usually that hill that neither team like to play on a lot of time with because there's so many quick angles for these gunfights.
Oh, Neptune on 2 in a row. Good read onto Kenny. Better shots. And Abuza makes life easy for Vancouver by finding Geo inside the hard point. And 04 will run forward and again continue to find really good positive time for Vancouver, who now have Minnesota a bit trapped. Backside parking garage. Geo runs into his own Semtex. Neptune will drop towards outer hedges, and that's a good follow-up elimination for Minnesota to get some control around the new hill.
Yeah, early hedge control in favor of Rocker, early time in favor of Rocker. You're only down by 25. You're right into this game. Now, at least early on, you met the answer of having that P3 to P4 chain to keep you in it. But now, slowly but surely fighting your way back in. AR's dominating outskirts. It's all about the initial kill. Neptune's able to find it. Now you have the numbers of your search for the break.
Yeah, Neptune knows that Geo's playing on the corner. He's going to find that kill as well. So again, lots of damage from his teammates, but that one was all Neptune. 4 in a row, 17 and 13, 30 seconds of scrap time. And you can see Vancouver, they're just trying to set up to receive this next hit for Minnesota while not giving away the middle of the map. And Neptune has found himself now on 6 in a row. 20 more seconds to fight for still.
Oh, and almost lines that gunfight onto Geo, but at least sets up his teammate for it. Vancouver walking away with a lot of time here at P1, and if you're Rocker, you obviously don't want to give this up, but you don't have an opportunity to even contest this. Now off the rotation over towards New, you have 2 players who spawn out. Vancouver are already aware of it. They're going to continuously run up the score.
Yeah, and while they're running it up, a perfect time for us to see how they're going to come through this moment as Abuza's on 3 in a row, and we head to a surge. Listen to it.
I'm going out of good guys, okay? I start late, under ladder, start, come here. Time is low guys, Nero. Yo, hey, shoot, one shot, guys. Yeah, hey, shoot me. Okay, lay down. Two, one more door. Make it. Two. They're 18 there. Hide first. One more on me. Nice, it's right, it's 2 guys. Get out of please. We get. Nice. Mid on me, Geo, it's S2, Geo. One more stage. Sidewalk. Time dead. Good time. I got 2 in all, guys, okay? He's not turning goal on time. Mid door on stage. I'm going to top right, give me 1 sec. I'm going long. Yeah, good thing mid door. Take your time. He's on me. Mid. Nero, 1 shot, left corner. Yeah. Mid door still. Yeah, I don't. I'm 1 shot. Yeah, I got that native. Stop globe. Yo, one more siege. Siege, Kenny. Siege 1 time. That's fine. I have the stairs, I'm waiting. I'm with you back. You can bank. Dead. Nice, last time. I'm in front. Last time. I have stairs, okay? Yo, spawn. Yeah, all my flank just in case, bro. Nice. No one flanking. Nice one. Yeah, I'm blocking. He went spawn. Okay, yeah. Two. Yeah, I'm needing my spawn. One more time. One shot left. We can bank time. Front door. One's H1 stairs. Time. H1 stairs, trust me, he's gonna scam. I don't see him. I'm shot. One buzz, he's out. No. He's on you. Be in the spot, Geo, he's on time now. Okay, one. Thank you, nice. One more H1 stairs. I'm sorry. We should go mid if we can. Yeah, go mid. I'm gonna play slow left, okay? Go top dark if it's on hold. Go all the way.
Okay.
Don't see anything.
Yeah, I got you.
It's 1 stairs.
I'm going top third.
Nice shot. Nice. One's gonna be on time. One top right, probably. I need H2. Don't see anything top right.
That's in top third.
H2 dead. On time, I think twice. I have 2 to be. This one is nice. One shot, blue top. At least 1 stage. Nice. You need that fast, on time.
Nice. Arches, can you?
Go. I'm playing 2 head, bro. On time, dead. I have a 12. I'm playing.
Okay, 1 issue, and then 2 H1.
Pick a side. Yeah, I'm playing it too.
I see where's one.
Behind us, 10B double side over. When is it? 2B, bro. Enemy coming. I'm leaving. Let's go beat Cindy.
Okay.
He might eat 3 flowers.
That's fine. I'm gonna Vita. Go beat Cindy fast.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
Nothing here. Yo, I'm gonna hold you pit. Dubs, he's hitting.
No, take it. Listen, Nero, you went long.
Pippa. What do you Pippa? Just hold.
Just about a 20-point game, but hey, we talked about this quite a bit, Jay, in map number 1 in the first listed for Minnesota, but Vancouver is so good about understanding that they've lost that moment and they got to play for the next one. You hear it in 2 different comms of chalk it, we're going to have to go through mid, and Nasty even quarterbacks exactly where they want to go. It's just such heads-up gameplay, and all 4 players are buying into it.
Yeah, it's beautiful on the side of Surge, but it's also beautiful on the side of Rocker for a team who really couldn't find a lot of success on breaking into some of these hills. They have been able to find breaks to keep themselves into this game. Still only down by 30, but Surge dominate the kill feed. Final 25 seconds here at the P5. Gio gonna try to make a run for it, but once those 2 players falls, Surge is gonna only grow the lead by a little more.
Oh, that's again good damage from 04. Makes life easy from his teammates. 13 seconds of scrap time, and Minnesota are going to have to chalk this and try to rotate over through hedges to get a look over the top of P1. It's going to have to be a desperate effort, though, with Neptune watching the crossroad. Maskey is able to find 4 in a row, 35 and 24. Getting it done with both weapons. 04 clears off stage, and Minnesota trying to play the long routes have been stifled, and Vancouver have gone from scrap time on the last hill to initial on the new.
And now they only need 25 seconds to close out this game and close out this series. Our final online qualifier here between Surge and Rocker. And Rocker are not looking to give this one up for free. They dominate in the kill feed. They're able to flip all of Surge over towards Eski's side, and now they're just banking on 04 to get something done on his play, but Kenny's aware of it. Rocker still hold.
And Nero and Gio in a pretty decent spot to contest against any routes from this window position, but instead, all 3 will fall, and it's another moment where Vancouver just don't panic. They don't get anxious. They make the right read. They make the right call. Everyone commits, and it leads to another beautiful moment for Surge. 228 to 184. One more member in the hill, but Neptune's already working on new, while Abuza says, I've got old. Don't worry about that. And once again, Vancouver have an advantage over the top of P2.
And now you're just banking on what Kenny can get done over through stage. Just don't allow them to soak up a lot of time here. But Kenny on the pitch is going to be the deciding factor. He's at least able to find one. Abuza's not giving them an angle, but Kenny finds a double, and Rocker find the break.
And it's also a spawn flip. And now you're starting to get the trap into play. So another moment where what does Vancouver decide to do with 30 seconds remaining? How do they want to hit this route? Gio watching over towards mid. Kenny watching the opposite cross from backside arches. He's in trouble, but he's again killing so much time. And Minnesota are still in the hard point the whole while. 04 able to contest, but Nero there for the trade. 232 to 212, 20 seconds to fight for, and Minnesota still have the superior positions.
Yeah, and they're already thinking about that rotation over towards new. They no longer know that we can't lose here at P2. We had to start thinking about new, and Vancouver at least find a double kill. And now spawns get a little bit mixy. It's only Nero on this side of the map. Just run and play your life, but he's gonna get found, and Vancouver can close it out here.
2 players will spawn inside a garage. A chance for a natural pinch to develop, but it has to move quickly. Gio the first one to fall. The Semtex lands. Abuza cleans that up. And the last hit from backside stairs won't get there in time. Vancouver close out the series and may have been a deciding factor in what happens to Minnesota for the rest of the year.
Unbelievable series between both of these squads, man. If only Rocker could have showed a little bit more life early into these hard points, or a lot more success in their setups, man, because they did what they needed to do. Trapped them on the end of the P3s over towards the P4s, but the P5 truly were the difference makers in this game, because even though Vancouver found themselves early off the rotation for a majority of them, it's just when we got to like that 30-second mark remaining of the hill time, Vancouver were able to find all the kills and then walk away with that final 20 to 25 seconds, which truly was a difference in this game. Rocker were consistently trying to play catch up, but when you're not in a position to at least dominate in the kill feeds or set up properly at these new HPs, it's going to be tough to try to take down this Surge squad. You're going into DreamHack down 40, and that is our final online qualifier match there, Alan.
40 and 29, 15 assists, 31 non-traded for Neptune.
He's
picking up the AR when he needs to and still getting it done with the SMG as you would expect. And you see that late run by Minnesota, down 217 to 165 after having nothing go their way on P4. Make a dramatic effort at it, just cannot get through the leader's advantage that Vancouver were able to establish. And it just feels like, again, you look in the middle of that game flow, it's just, again, 40 for 20s. Vancouver just keep growing narrow leads here and there throughout.